Right, we're live. With people joining in. Yes. Hi, everyone. Good evening, good morning. Welcome to this session. We're also streaming live on YouTube. So if you're joining us on YouTube, just leave us a hi on the live chat. On Zoom, just leave your introductions very quickly. On the chat. My name is Aparna. I'm going to be your host for today, and you are going to understand about the top 3 Scrum certifications that you can pursue in 2025. Yeah. So we've got Bryan. Yes. Yes. Just leave your name and the city that you're from. Someone from Houston. Hi, Naresh. Hi, Joe. Everyone else, keep those introductions coming. So my name is Aparna and I am streaming from Bangalore. Raghav from Bangalore as well. Jaffer, hi. Naresh, hi. Good evening to people from India. Right, right. Sibri, hi. Chandana, hi. Joseph, someone from Philippines, Netherlands. Okay, good evening. Okay, Chatrin, hi. Swati, hi. Okay, okay. Syed, good evening to you as well. Sanjay, Brittany, hi. Good morning to people joining in from US and Canada. Yeah. Gary, hi. Good morning to you as well. Yes. Yes. So let's quickly get started and let me set the ground rules. So today's agenda is for you to understand how you can pursue these certifications, what is required out of you. So let's say you have a question to ask. Bryan, please put them on the Q&A box. Use the chat box for general interactions, but if you have questions, make sure you use the Q&A box and also interact with us through the polls that we launch. So towards the end of the webinar, we'll collect a short survey about how the webinar went. We'll collect your name for for giving you the certificate. We'll also collect your interest in the certification program that we're going to talk about in a while. So there are going to be a lot of polls. So make sure you interact with us on these polls. If you're watching us on YouTube, just make sure you use the live chat to interact and answer our questions, right? So just to know you guys a little better, we've got a quick poll to understand what your overall work experience is. So I'm going to launch, here you go, a poll on Zoom. If you're, again, watching us on YouTube, just make sure you answer this on the live chat. Yeah. Yes, yes. Thanks everyone for your introductions. Just make sure you use the poll to answer this question. Yes. Okay. Okay, great. Great. No, overall work experience, not just limited to Scrum, just any work experience so far. Hi, Pradeep. Okay, so for people joining in just now, make sure you use the poll to answer the question about your work experience. This is just to understand the profile and, base the conversation around that. So, yeah, yes. Okay, amazing. Let me see. I'm going to share these results with you, Bryan, and I'm going to leave the poll results on for a while. Okay, less than 2 years. A lot of you guys are experienced, have more than 10 years of experience. Nice, nice. Okay, that's great. That's great. Hi, Vimal. Hi, Pradeep. Everyone else who's joined. So, just a quick introduction about Simplylearn. Simplylearn offers courses in various domains, Agile and Scrum being one of them. If you're looking for certifications, we've got a bunch of them, not just limited to project management or Scrum. We've also got certifications in cloud computing, cybersecurity, and even data science and business analytics. So you can head to simplylearn.com and check out our portfolio of courses. Today, particularly, we'll take you through the CSM certification training course and help you understand the enrollment steps as well, our course cohort schedules, and all of that, right? So we'll also take questions related to the course, but all of that in a while. And let me introduce you to Bryan once again. Welcome, Bryan. And I think right now I'm just kind of, I know your introduction by heart. Anyway, Bryan, I've introduced you so many times already.
Once or twice, yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So it's always amazing to have Bryan because of his energy and the way he, conducts the session. It's always interesting to hear his anecdotes. Bryan is a certified PMI trainer. He's a safe practitioner. He's also PMI-ACP certified. An amazing thing is that he's the contributing author to the PMBOK 7th edition, and he's also an experienced agile program and project management. He's got an immense experience in that field. He's also an instructor with Simplylearn in some of our courses. Thanks, Bryan, for taking the time out today as well. I'll let you introduce yourself, and I think we'll
Sure.
quickly get started.
I think you really covered all the bases here. In fact, it
Yeah.
sounds quite glowing when you're the one describing it. But hopefully, folks are seeing that lots of experience in the project management, program management domain, specifically in agile areas. So I've got a lot of background and experience with different agile techniques, ranging from Scrum to the Scaled Agile framework to extreme programming to all the different techniques and practices that we find within the agile family. So yeah, really excited to be here. Thanks for the invitation. Oh, and by the way, I'm based in Houston as well. I think you might have mentioned
Yeah.
that earlier. So see, there's a couple other Houstonians and Texans here. So welcome, fellow brethren, and for everyone else, great to see so many people joining from around the world.
Yes, it's great to see everyone else joining in. And let's quickly get started and understand the agenda for today. So, we're going to understand why Scrum certifications, firstly, and what factors you should be considering in order to choose a Scrum certification. What are the most sought after Scrum certifications? What's the demand of Scrum professionals now? And what skills you need beyond these certifications. So let's quickly get started. Bryan, do you want to take them through what Agile
Yeah.
is? Yeah, yeah,
Let's start, I guess, at the foundation, sort of really check in on what is agile. So I know we've got a folks have a fair amount of experience. This is probably hopefully going to sound pretty familiar to you all, but essentially this is a family of different product development methodologies. The whole intent is to deliver value quickly to our customers, creating opportunities, get feedback as we progress. Uh, Big important concept here is this idea of flow. We want to really see work quickly flow through the entire life cycle around planning and designing, developing, testing, releasing, and then using it as a place again to continue to emphasize feedback and continuous improvement. So all this is supported, and we don't have a lot of time to go deep into this, but you can do some exploration yourself. All this is defined in what's called the Agile Manifesto. You can just go to agilemanifesto.org. It will tell you a lot more about the principles, the values behind this idea of agile.
Hmm. Got it. All
Yeah.
right. So what is Scrum then?
Yeah, so that's so think of Scrum as sort of fitting in underneath this agile umbrella. So it provides a little bit more detail on how to actually apply these values and principles within Agile, within the Agile Manifesto. But a few things it really emphasizes. It's really got this team-centric view of delivering work. And that work is delivered in these short, time-boxed periods that are going to incrementally build on each of the previous iterations. And these use a term called sprints. So teams work in these sprints. A lot of times you'll find the sprints are 2 weeks in duration. They don't have to
Hmm.
be, Most organizations are sort of gravitated toward 2-week duration sprints. So basically, you're really asking a question of the people doing the work, what can you get done in the next 2 weeks? So to help with that, we're going to start each sprint with a planning event. Makes sense, right? We're going to get together as a team, kind of ask ourselves, what can we get done? What work is the most important? Let's make sure we start with that. And once we agree on that, the team checks in every day and just really asks, how's it going? And do we have any issues or things preventing us from getting that work done? If there's some of those blockers, we want to mobilize, get those removed because it's preventing us from getting this important work completed. And then when the sprint is finished, we're going to conduct a review. We're going to show it to the people that are interested, our stakeholders, our customers, and invite them to provide feedback. Say, what do you think? Is this what you expected? There are some changes we need to make. And once that's done, the team is going to sit down and just sort of check in and ask, how are we doing? Do we need to, spend a little bit more time improving? What are some things we can do to find opportunities to deliver more value more quickly, more effectively? So the whole intent is bring people together because they're the ones that do the work and help them deliver this value incrementally. So we're not waiting a really long time and collaboratively. Let's work together as a team.
Right. All right. All right. So why does it matter today in 2025?
Right. Yeah. So Scrum is definitely one of the leading methodologies in applying these agile practices and behaviors and ideas. And really to help us kind of get a sense of its scale, you got some metrics here, some statistics. So 85% of organizations right now are using some form of an agile methodology. Okay. Sometimes they blend them together. There are some other ones that are out there. Scrum is in and of itself the biggest. It's about 66% of all teams. So 85% of these organizations are using it, 66% are using Scrum. So there's a lot of interest in organizations leveraging Scrum and certainly Agile. In fact, you see the next bullet, 91% of all organizations consider adopting Agile as a strategic priority. So this is something they say is this is as important as it is servicing our customers and generating revenue, because we can't do those things unless we embrace some of the ideas and techniques that Agile and Scrum represent. And we can see there's been a rather significant increase in how teams have embraced these Agile methodologies. It's 86% of software development teams are using Agile compared to 37% just a few years ago in 2020. And then you can see really why. Why do organizations, find so much interest and care about this? Well, it's because when they introduce the strong agile culture, they increase their commercial performance. This is their ability to kind of generate revenue and improve stakeholder investments by 237%. So that's a great return on that investment. So lots of interest in organizations moving to Agile, lots of organizations wanting to do this. Scrum is sort of the most important one that they're focusing on. So that's sort of why Scrum is so important, particularly in 2025.
Got it. Got it. And so what are the challenges to adopting Scrum principles?
Right. And yeah, it's not always easy implementing some of these practices. These are typically very significant organizational culture changes. So what are some things that we generally see when we're trying to introduce Agile and Scrum? Well, inconsistencies. You're a large organization, you've been doing something for a long time, and now you've got these new techniques and practices emerging, and oftentimes it clashes with how you've been doing things in the past. Cultural clashes. This is oftentimes, a place where you've got a person who's worked in the organization maybe 20, 30 years, really familiar with how to get things done in that organizational culture. And then you're introducing some new behaviors and practices, and maybe people that are a little newer into the organization, they kind of get their arms around this and say, this is a great way to work together. So a little bit of potential for some conflict emerge. There's always this organizational resistance to change, right? People often say, like, why do I need to? Change is hard. I don't want to change. I've got so much other stuff going on. And then lack of skills and experience. Maybe people are interested in making some of these adjustments, and this is something I run into all the time, is that they just aren't very familiar with it. So they try their best, but they don't always have the skills, the experience necessary. So this is why that Scrum Master is so important. So the Scrum Master is actually a really important mechanism for organizations to help address these challenges. So this is why I think this is a great session because A, there's lots of interest in it. B, the Scrum Master is so important in addressing these kind of challenges. And I'm certain there's a few questions about which one of these certifications is the
Yeah.
best one for me.
Right. So we're just coming to that. Actually, let's first understand what a Scrum Master does.
Yeah, for sure. So, there's a couple things. One is a simple way to think of the Scrum Master is their role is to make the team great. Find ways to enable the team, help them be efficient, help them be effective, make sure they're focusing on the right priorities. So, part of the things you'll be doing as a Scrum Master is facilitating some of these Scrum practices, particularly some of these events. Things like let's set up our sprint planning, let's do our daily stand-ups, let's hold a review, let's conduct a retrospective. So those are going to be really important, and you're going to be responsible for facilitating those sessions. And when we say facilitating, this isn't necessarily that you're the one doing all the work. It's actually you're bringing people together and letting them sort of share and engage and be part of the whole delivery lifecycle. So you're kind of often described as a servant leader. The team is really who you're there to support and enable. So you should be listening to the team. Some of you have a lot of experience, so you might be familiar with the old project management practices when you tell people I need this done by Friday at 4 o'clock. Now we're going to kind of flip the script a bit. We're going to make it a bit more invitational. We're going to say, when do you think you can get this done? Do you have what you need to complete this work? Do you understand it? Do you have the access, the tools to get this work done? What other things are you doing that might make it hard for you to get this done by Friday at 4 p.m.? So really kind of trying to find ways in which we help facilitate the team, enable the team. Another thing you want to do as a Scrum Master is help remove roadblocks. People often get stuck, right? They say, gosh, I sent that email to someone in another group or team, and they're just, not responding. I can't move forward. Well, as a Scrum Master, say, well, let me help you with that. Man, that sounds frustrating. I'm going to reach out to the person, see if we can find a way to get you the access, the information you need. All this is to help the team continue to deliver value. You're also going to find ways to encourage collaboration. Sometimes that means, hey, let's do a little team building event. Let's get to know one another. Let's really kind of create this idea of a team and a team identity. And along the way, maybe coaching and helping, mentoring people on understanding agile principles, the value, the why behind these. And then finally, emphasizing continuous improvement, constantly asking the question, what can we do better? Are we happy with how things are working? And if not, what changes should we make? So constantly thinking about what can we do to kind of be more effective and more efficient.
Understood. So let's just understand the importance of Scrum certifications before we move ahead to, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. So, sure, no one's probably going to be surprised to hear that certifications are a great way to demonstrate that you really understand these concepts and you've taken the time to learn them, to take a test to verify and validate that you understand these practices, these principles. So, Scrum certifications are a really important mechanism to get into roles like a Scrum Master or to be part of an Agile organization or an Agile team. So, these are all going to help you with your career growth. In fact, generally speaking, and you're talking to a person who has a lot of certifications, the more certifications you have, generally, the more interested organizations and hiring companies are going to be in bringing you on board. So investing in yourself is often a demonstration to organizations that, yeah, you're capable and interested in learning. And once you have some of these certifications, particularly the ones we're going to spend some time talking about, it just opens up so many global opportunities. These days, in fact, we're so fortunate because it's as easy for me to work for a company that's based in Europe or India or America as it is for one that's just 10 miles down the road from me. So leveraging that, these certifications are a good gateway into a lot of those organizations. And then as you heard, as we start making this shift to more agile practices and emphasizing techniques like Scrum, these certifications are going to have even more relevance. So there's going to be a lot more interest in organizations looking for people that can prove and demonstrate that they've got these skills, and a certification is a great way to demonstrate that.
Got it. Got it. So what is the criteria? Choose A Scrum certification for upskilling.
Right. Yeah, no, that's such a good question. One modest challenge you're going to experience is that there's lots of certifications out there. Which one is the best one? Which one is
Mm.
the right one? So, a couple things. The first is we do want to spend some time on the ones that are just generally more recognized. And we're going to spend time with three of these that I think are probably the top three that you should be giving some thought to. The other is you want to spend a little time asking yourself, well, what kind of role do you want to pursue? We just talked about the Scrum Master, and we're going to put a fair amount of emphasis on that role in our discussion today. But there are other roles. You could be a product owner. That's a person who's going to be responsible for understanding business requirements, engaging with stakeholders and customers, and then ensuring that the team understands the priority and gets the clarity they need to complete work. That said, product owner also needs to understand agile practices. So a lot of times, many of them are going to take some Scrum Master certification training because it's going to strengthen their role in an agile delivery model. The other thing is, a lot of us are going to learn and have different learning styles. So generally, I find most people respond best to more hands-on learning. So often it's really good to look for cohorts where you can all join together at the same time. You've got some instructor-led training. Look for hands-on opportunities. One of the things that Simplylearn does a good job that I've spent a lot of time developing as well are some case studies and say, hey, we're talking about Agile, why it's important, and these Scrum practices. And here's a real-world case study of how you would apply this. And oftentimes, those case studies are important because they kind of highlight the fact that, in theory, theory and practice are the same, but in practice, they're different. So, it's all good to kind of see the framework and, understand how these things are supposed to work, but oftentimes the real world introduces some changes and differences that we have to find some ways to kind of work around. So all of this is also preparing you for the future. And one thing I think, we're all aware of, gosh, it doesn't feel like a day goes by where we're not hearing about AI and new developments. And of course, this last week where we just got this new, AI model that came out that was incredibly, cheap. It's really demonstrating that you've got to future-proof yourself.
Right.
Agile is such a great way to demonstrate that you are adaptive, you are responsive, you can pivot quickly because organizations are going to be very interested in people with those skills because they're going to need that to compete in the marketplace.
Understood. All right. So what are the three major certification organizations?
Right. And this is such a great question. I get this question asked all the time. It's like, which one should I take? There's so many out there. And this is just as three. I mean, there's even more out there. So we're going to spend some time on the big three. The first is the SAFe Scrum Master, and SAFe is an acronym that stands for the Scaled Agile Framework. We're also going to look like this at the Certified Scrum Master, often referred to just the CSM. And then the professional Scrum Master, the PSM. And notice that one has a number next to it. One, there's actually three levels for the PSM. You can go 1, 2, or 3. The other two, however, just as one and done. That's all you got. So the big differences here, the first is they come from different organizations. And all these organizations are quite large, quite credible, quite well recognized in the industry. The first is the Scaled Agile Framework. And it probably shouldn't surprise you to hear that it puts a lot of emphasis on scaling. So if we think of Scrum, we think of Agile, it tends to center itself on a single team. It's about how do we make that team effective and really create a high-performing team with that group of participants. Well, Scaled Agile says, hey, we need to work with lots of these little teams. How do they all work together? Because they often have dependencies and they've got to communicate, and we've got a larger initiatives that might need multiple teams. So the Scaled Agile framework is particularly relevant in very large organizations that recognize they need some way to scale all these Agile practices. Now, the Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org focus a bit more on just that team level question. How do we help teams become high-performing, effective delivery engines? So the Scrum Alliance has a certified Scrum Master. And Quite frankly, that's probably the most recognized of all the certifications we're going to spend some time on. The CSM is done a great job sort of extending itself across industries and around the world. So many organizations are going to look for that as a demonstration that you've got these agile skill sets. And then we also have the professional Scrum Master. That's offered through scrum.org. In both Scrum Alliance and Scrum.org, there's two people that kind of created Scrum, Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwaber. And both of these organizations they've moved into these separate organizations. So they're both well represented by the actual authors of the Scrum process and methodology. So they're both very oriented around Scrum. Now notice when we're talking about Scrum, remember when we started the conversation and talked about Agile, sort of this umbrella. Well, these are really oriented around Scrum. So you're going to leave with a good understanding of Scrum, but it is specific to Scrum. You're not going to get as much exposure to some of these other practices that are kind of part of that broader Agile Alliance or Agile umbrella. But this is a great starting point for someone interested in just making that move into more formal Agile certifications.
Understood. Understood. So let's also look at the certifications offered by these organizations.
Yeah. So as I mentioned, you can see the different provider. And really what that means, they're the ones that are going to be responsible for writing the exams and ensuring that people take the exams, sort of do them in an appropriate way. The CSM is a really good place to start for those who are brand new to Scrum. It's designed to help people that are just getting exposed to this, looking for ways to take these ideas, apply them in organizations. The PSM is also very strong for, sort of that starting point, but it also starts weaving in more intermediate and advanced topics. Things like, hey, how do I work with multiple teams? Or maybe I'm working with a vendor and maybe they're not using Scrum. What do I do? So they start digging into some of those questions that begin to emerge as you start working with these techniques. And then we have the Scaled Agile Scrum Master certification. And that's, of course, going to focus on these fundamentals. You're going to get an understanding of Scrum and Agile, but it's also going to think a little bit more about, and how do you work in a large, complex enterprise where you might have, I don't know, an enterprise architecture group, and you've got, security teams, network security that have to, review things, and legal departments and things like that. So it's got some stronger answers to those questions that often emerge when we're introducing Scrum in larger environments. Right. So probably the one that is most important is just sort of starting with the fundamentals. So if you're brand new to this, I'd encourage you to look for, start with the Certified Scrum Master. If you've got a little bit more exposure and experience, you might find that the Professional Scrum Masters 1, 2, 3 might be a better path to follow. And if you're working in a large organization that maybe is using the Scaled Agile framework, or that you want to work for those larger organizations, you might find the Safe Scrum Master a really good starting point.
Got it. All right. So how does the exam work? What's the renewal? How does one renew after getting a certification?
Yeah, and that's often the next question that comes up, which is, hey, which is the best one for me? And tell me a little bit how hard these are. So the good news is these are all very accessible exams. You'll find, generally speaking, these are an hour to an hour and a half in duration. Contrast that to the PMP, that's like 4 hours. The Project Management Institute Agile Certified Professional is 3 hours. Those are much more comprehensive exams, do require a lot more preparation to successfully pass them. So all three of these, you're probably not going to find the most exhausting, demanding exam, so that's good news. You'll see that they're multiple choice or true false. In a few cases, you might have some multiple answer options, like pick 2 of these 5, and then you can see the passing scores you need to achieve in order to get the certification. Now, generally speaking, if you've taken some of the course work before this, you're going to find that none of these could be particularly challenging to complete. But the other thing to give a little thought to is, how long are they good for? So one reason the PSM is often seen as a pretty compelling option for folks is that you take it once and you're done for your whole lifetime. You never have to do it again. Hooray. But these other ones are going to have some renewal requirements. Sometimes it's the form of spending some money. So you can see right now, the Safe Scrum Master needs you to renew it for $100 every year. The Certified Scrum Master is $100 every 2 years. And then in addition, you have to achieve these education units, these SEUs. And really what that is you're spending some time either taking additional training or reading a bit more about Scrum and Agile. You're really just demonstrating you're kind of investing in this whole Agile space. So those are the sort of the terms, the renewals, and the types of exam questions you can expect when you take these.
Got it, got it. So is there a demand for Scrum professionals who can really, pursue a career, or not a career, but say certifications, who can really pursue a career here?
Yeah, so this is something maybe your organization's starting to make a transition into and doing more
Mm.
agile, and you're seeing kind of these shifts occur, and you want to position yourself for that, or you're just saying, hey, actually, I think this is a more interesting, fulfilling way to work. I want to strengthen my skills in this. This is a great path for you. The in-demand roles, you can see them here, Scrum Masters. So you're working closely with the team, enabling the team, product owners working more with stakeholders, customers, refining a backlog of work that the team can pull. And then agile coaches. So those are a little bit people like me who help teams sort of understand why are these good practices, help them maybe work through problems, challenges they might encounter as they're doing this work. All this is going to be really valuable to organizations. Why? Because they recognize it is about the people. So if you can bring people in your organization that can help facilitate collaboration within teams, find ways to optimize delivery cycles so you can deliver value more rapidly, or scale these practices across their enterprise, well, they're going to be really interested in finding those people, bringing them to those organizations, and frankly, compensating them pretty well. So you can see that the job posting for Scrum-related roles increased 25% year over year. So every year there's just more interest and demand in bringing in these skills.
Mm. Got it. The one question I have here, which I'm sure a lot of them will have, is this independent of whatever role they are in right now or whatever function, let's say someone in a marketing role or a sales function. So anybody can take or pursue Scrum certifications, or is there a certain kind of function that one should be working in?
Yeah, great question. I will say, frankly, that sort of a lot of this did start in sort of the tech space. So think
Yeah.
software development, technology-oriented companies. But rapidly, organizations in other functional areas discovered, hey, these same ideas apply to us. In fact, we often work this way, and this gives us a little bit more structure. So it is not uncommon for me, in particular, to be working outside of IT. I work with sales, marketing, human resources, strategy teams. So they're leveraging all these same practices. So if you work in those areas, you're interested in working into those areas, this again is a great way to kind of build some of the pathways so you can start broadening some of your experience, get exposure to the parts of the organization. So there's lots of demand for these skills outside of just IT and software development.
Understood. Understood. How does one get started then? What's the right approach to get started?
Yeah, and this is something Simplylearn, does a great job emphasizing too, which is, hey, you really got to think about what is your career and
Hmm.
where do you want to take it and what do you need to enable it. So I think spending some time defining your goals, and many of you have got years of experience already. And by the way, I've got kids who are in college who are just about to graduate, and they're kind of asking the same general questions like, what's my next move? And it really starts with the person. You got to ask yourself, well, what is it you want to do? What interests you? You might have a real passion around being close to the solution, and you want to kind of be a bit more oriented around building things. Well, maybe taking a path around software development might be something a bit more fulfilling, or data analytics. Or maybe I like working with people. Well, guess what? Scrum and Agile are really going to be places where you can really demonstrate those skills and frankly get a lot from your career. So sit down, ask yourself what you want from your career. Where do you see yourself 1 year, 5 years, even 10 years down the road. And then
Understood.
once you've got a good understanding of that, then yeah, map out which certifications are going to help you get there. Now, some certifications are going to require different experiences levels, and sometimes if you're taking the PMP, you're going to have a degree or some equivalent. These three that we're talking about right now are very accessible. There's no prior experience necessary. Anyone can take these at any point. And then you want to find an organization that's going to help you with this. So some things to give some thought to. Again, there's lots of these out there, but look for accredited providers. These are
Hmm.
organizations, much like a Simplylearn, that have built relationships with organizations like
Yeah.
Scrum.org and the Scrum Alliance and the Scaled Agile Framework. And they are seen, Simplylearn is seen as an accredited provider. They bring in expert teachers, instructors, people a little bit like me. They invest in building content. They have tools. You guys have a great sort of website, got mobile apps. You got a fantastic community with 7x24 support. So that's really important. Look for those providers. And
Hmm.
then finally, prepare for your exam. These all have exams. Now, as I mentioned, these exams are, I think you're going to find pretty comfortable to complete. But work with and look for organizations, training organizations that can give you mock tests,
Hmm.
study guides.
Yeah.
Again, one of the things I think Simplylearn brings to the table, which is really valuable, is that you've been doing this for a long time. You've got great guides. You know how to help people achieve these certifications, complete these exams. So look for those kind of organizations because they're going to really help you achieve your goals.
Right. Right. So I'm just tagging the Simplylearn resources page here. So we've got a bunch of articles, free practice tests, and also ebooks that you can download to understand, about Scrum certification. So I'm just tagging the whole page here. Anyway, I think we've got a question that says, "Oh, is PMP really more valuable than Scrum Master roles?" Yeah, so I think that's a question. Or should one follow it up with a PMP or do a PMP before? How does one go about?
Yeah, I think there's maybe two answers to that. The first is what is it that you get the most from? So PMP is definitely going to put a lot more emphasis on discipline, on structure,
Yeah.
on process. And it's a great fit for larger, more complex projects that are going to take perhaps a year or more, lots of people involved, lots of vendors, a lot of coordination, facilitation. Um, if that's something that kind of really interests you and you kind of want to think about how to orchestrate all these different teams and people, long kind of complex delivery life cycle, you're probably going to find that it's a strong fit for you. If you're a little bit more interested, hey, I just want to get things done. I like to move fast. I want to adapt and adjust. You're probably going to find Scrum and any of these agile practices a stronger fit. So I'm not sure if I could argue that one is more value than the other. I think there's
Yeah.
just different places that they're going to be more effective.
Right. Good. I think that answers the next one. Someone has a technical question about so Scrum. It feels like Scrum puts a pressure on someone to complete task in a day in a certain set of days. So why is Scrum more successful than XP? Extreme programming is also an agile methodology. So why is that Scrum is more popular?
I think that's a really interesting question. So think of first off as Scrum as a framework. So it really gives you a way to work to deliver value. Now,
Hmm.
there's definitely a misinterpretation if someone feels that Scrum is very task driven and you've got these dates. In fact, it's really the opposite. What you're doing in good, high performing Scrum teams is you're inviting people to tell you how long something's going to take. So now, if I tell you it's going to take 3 days and I understand what it is, I have to hold myself accountable to that. Now, the only person doing that is me. I should be feeling like, hey, I'm a professional. I had an opportunity to ask the questions. I said it was going to 3 days. I'm going to make sure I get it done in 3 days. But if you're hearing from anyone that's telling you Scrum is insisting that someone else tell you how long something is, that's misinterpreted. It is not the way Scrum is intended to operate. Now, XP, as it's often referred to, or extreme programming, um, kind of entered this space early. This is something that was kind of really developed in the late 1990s.
Oh,
I get back in others. So, and it introduced some ideas that we still use today. So many of you have probably come across the term a user story. Well, Scrum doesn't talk about user stories, but XP does. XP really puts a lot of emphasis on creating requirements in a lightweight fashion using techniques like user stories. So there's a lot of ideas that XP represents that are actually leveraged in frameworks, methodologies like Scrum, because Scrum's going to, you can use whatever techniques you want to fit into the Scrum framework. XP fits in there. I think the big reason XP didn't really kind of get the traction it needed and take it from a person that worked with this space, selling these ideas into large organizations, it was just really difficult to tell a CIO, like, hey, we're going to bring in this extreme programming. And the CIO is going to, extreme what? I don't do anything that's extreme. Like CIOs in particular in those days, generally pretty conservative. So I think the language was just a little off-putting. You know, you're telling some person who's been doing something for 30 years, as a senior
Yeah.
executive in a large company, yeah, we're going to, he's like, it sounds like a skateboarding thing. I mean, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to stay with our traditional guaranteed delivery processes. So I think XP had that struggle. It's surprising what an impact just a name can have. But anyways, those are some thoughts on XP versus Scrum and how you can blend them together.
Oh, okay, that's a very interesting question, also an interesting insight, something new for everyone to learn. Okay, we've got, okay, Amit, I think we took your question about which is, there's no, I mean, Bryan really answered about one is not really better than the other, just whichever, certification aligns with with your career goals is probably the best. Okay, Amit also has another question. I've got 20 years of experience in the IT domain, but I'm out of job for 4 months now. How can I transition myself to Scrum? What certification will pay me best? Also, what kind of salaries can we expect in India? Okay, I'm gonna,
Mm-hmm.
hmm.
Not sure I can answer the salary part of the question, but I
Yeah.
think if you're looking for a, kind of a good entry point to demonstrate that, hey, I've got these skills and I've got some experience, knowledge I can apply, the CSM, the Certified Scrum Master, is probably a really strong starting point. I think it's
Hmm.
very accessible, gives you the fundamentals. There's no entry criteria. Now, and it sounds like from what Amit was saying there, he doesn't have, if you have existing Scrum experience, and some of you on this session might, you might find the PSM a good alternative. And a good reason is because the PSM, unlike the other ones, is the only one that lets you just take the exam online right now.
Oh,
So if you've already been working in an organization, you've got lots of exposure experience, and you're really kind of comfortable with this, yeah, you might find that as a good path forward. But generally, I would encourage you all to really find a training provider that can bring you in as part of his cohort, that you can learn together. You've got an instructor who's going to be available, can share some real world experiences. It broadens your networking too, because let's not lose sight of the fact that these people are also getting jobs. And
yeah,
as they grow in their experience, that's an opportunity for you perhaps to get some
yeah,
opportunities. So I mean, I would really encourage you to look for a training provider. These are not very expensive courses generally,
yes.
and they're not a big investment in time. I think this would be a good place to spend some time, particularly if you've been out of work for that period. I think this, take advantage of the time. Say, hey, I'm going to learn some new skills.
Yeah, I think we'll talk about the course in a bit. I actually had kind of the same question myself. So if someone's background is not from IT and let's say they do pursue or become CSM certified, can they work in the tech industry after, they're certified? Does that make them relevant to
Oh,
the
yeah,
role?
absolutely. I
Mhm.
think you'll find you can go back and forth between more tech oriented, more maybe business product oriented.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, because really what you're demonstrating is you are good at creating high performing teams.
Right.
And there's no doubt that some domain knowledge, is going to be valuable, particularly in a lot of settings. But you're demonstrating, I can help teams collaborate. I can help teams sort of, self-organize. I can help them deal with issues and help them introduce techniques and practices that are going to make them more effective and efficient. And you can apply that in any team, anywhere, in any industry.
Mhm. Got it. Got it. All right. All right. So with that, I think let me just quickly ask another question to our learners because a lot of you seem to have this concern. about, how to really navigate this situation. So what is exactly stopping you or hindering you from becoming a Scrum professional? So it can be, you don't have the skills, you don't know how to land or crack interviews, you don't have the right course to upskill, or you don't know what strategy you should go about. So hopefully you're clear with the skills that you need and also the strategy. Some of you had questions there. So while we're on the topic of skills, what other skills should someone really have apart from, certification and all of that? What do you think, Brian? What other
Oh,
skills? Yeah.
oh yes. Oh, sorry. Yeah, I was
No,
reading
it's
through these
okay.
questions here. Um,
It's okay.
yeah. So, what other skills? I'm not sure if you moved to the new next slide. It looks like
No,
we're
I
still.
don't think we have a slide, but I just wanted to know your thoughts. We don't have a slide here, but
Got it.
yeah, I just added that as an agenda point. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I think other skills, particularly as a Scrum Master. And remember, you're emphasizing a lot around collaboration. So, in fact, I just saw someone post something about soft skills. Are there pedigree? Yeah, that's exactly what you're looking for. You're looking for good Scrum Masters. Frankly, are personable. They're accessible. They've got high degrees of integrity. They're people you can kind of share, how you're feeling and where you might have concerns or other
Mm,
issues that need attention. So if that's something that interests you, you're a people person, you're probably going to find being a Scrum Master is going to align well with some of your interests. And then I think just answering the question that I think it's Ellerbe was asking in the chat here. They just got their CSM. Congratulations. What's the next direction to go? Well, I think I would suggest start applying it and either in
mm.
your existing organization to say, hey, these are some good practices. Let me help you understand why and then introduce them. Or if you're looking for a new opportunity, well, put that out in your LinkedIn shingle or Indeed or wherever it might be and start looking for opportunities that kind of fit that role.
Right. Correct, correct. So I think we will just talk about the course because Brian also mentioned about how these certification courses can really help you upskill, find the right opportunity, and get you to leverage the skills that you gain. So let me take you through the CSM certification training program that we have, and yeah, so like Brian rightly mentioned, these are fees in INR, so you might want to convert that to USD or whichever location you live in. But let me just quickly share the link to the course as well so that you can check it out in your own time. So quick, summary about certification course is that this particular course lasts just for a weekend, a couple of days actually, and we've got certified Scrum trainers who take these courses. We've got 16 hours of live training, live interaction with with these trainers. And some of you also mentioned that you don't have the practical exposure. So you're actually going to learn hands-on along with understanding these principles in theory. You're also going to understand through simulations, case studies, and all of that. So you get a Scrum Alliance certificate with a 2-year membership through this after you complete this certification training program. And the course fee that you see here includes the exam fee along with one free exam retake. And so, Brian, if you can just highlight this point here, which says SEUs and the PDUs. So, what happens after the CSM certifications? Do they get, or are these SEUs and PDUs credited? So, what really happens if you can take them through?
Yeah, of course. So these, again, the terms are the Scrum Educational Unit, SEU, and that's something the Scrum Alliance requires you to achieve every 2 years so you can renew your certification. And then there's 20 PDUs. Those are professional development units, and they're used by the Project Management Institute. So what that was really telling you, if you are like me, you have a PMP, you got a PMI-ACP, you got a PgMP. These are all Project Management Institute certifications. So you can use this training for the PDUs there, and then you can use the 16 SEUs for the Scrum Alliance requirements. So you kind of have two paths there. And many people do have multiple certifications. So this is seen as particularly valuable. Like, whoa, I get to kind of get credit for both paths here. But don't lose sight of the fact, just as you were saying, you're going to need to maintain this, and you're always going to be sort of on the search for SEUs and PDUs. By the way, this session you're taking today, if any of you have a project management certification, or as we just heard, Eller he's or she has got their CSM. This 1 hour course is going to track as one SEU or one PDU for you.
Oh, okay. Got it.
Now,
Someone has a question about the course here, which is, so if someone takes this course and passes the certification exam and finishes and eventually is certified, will the course really help them design a charter or sprints and all of that? So is it good enough? Is their question. So maybe I think just we can just take them through what exactly happens, how the course curriculum is structured. Maybe you can take them through
Yeah.
this. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. Great question. So short answer to that is yes, absolutely. You're going to leave the course and you're going to be able to immediately set up a sprint and set up working sessions and facilitate these events. And that's the whole intent of it. So you leave with some of this ability to kind of move forward very quickly and apply these. Now, I noticed whoever asked the questions of scanning, they did ask things like a charter, design a charter. That's actually not something that Scrum emphasizes a lot, but if you're interested in your project management certification, yes, you would take that and it'll tell you all about how to create a project charter. So just be aware that there's slightly different terminologies here. So what do we start? Well, the first is you're going to get your if you want to expand the self-paced learning curriculum, I'm kind of give you a quick walk through of what we cover. But the first thing is we're going to give you some foundational information. We're going to spend some time with the about what is it, then some conversations about what is Agile, why Agile, and this is probably where you're going to look at the values and principles of the Agile Manifesto. You're going to hear a little bit about the different Agile methodologies. So we just heard about Scrum, of course, but there's also XP we heard about. There's lots of others like Crystal and DSDM and lots of others. Then we'll dig into the life cycle, and that's really how work flows from planning through the daily stand-ups to our reviews and then our retrospectives. Some terminologies you'll learn a little bit about, what do these terms mean? What's a user story? What's a story point? We'll dig into sprints, the power of time boxing, and then think about how do we release things. And then we'll look at some of this actual activities. We've got daily scrums. We'll dig a bit further into how we capture requirements in the form of user stories and what they should represent. And then we'll spend time on the different backlog types. We have one backlog, a product backlog, but we're going to pull work out into a sprint backlog. And that's what the team's going to complete in a single sprint. And they're going to start with some planning to kind of understand what they can complete and commit to. And then they'll finish with a review to showcase the work that was completed. And they'll reflect on what they can do to improve through a retrospective. And then you'll look at the different roles that are important here. And good news, there's only 3 roles in Scrum: product owner, Scrum Master, and the team. And then spending a bit more time on what each of those do. So I know there's a lot of detail here.
Yeah,
you see
a lot of
very
detail,
short
yes.
duration, but yeah, give you a very, very comprehensive understanding of everything, so you can apply these techniques right away.
Right. I know, Brian, you just have 5 more minutes to wrap up. So we'll quickly collect interest for this course. And I've also shared the link to the certification course here on the chat, so you guys can take a look at the curriculum in detail, download syllabus, understand all about the certification course here. And we'll just take a couple of questions before we wrap up, because Brian has to go exactly in 5 minutes. There's a question, Brian, will Jira provide a platform to set up the story charter? Okay, what other platforms do we have?
Yeah, so Jira is a tool for those aren't super familiar with it. It's a work management tool. It's probably one of the more popular ones that is used in sort of agile delivery settings. But there are lots of others. Another big one is Azure DevOps, or ADO. There's lots of others too. There's ClickUp, there's Monday, there's Rally, Version 1, you name it. There's lots of these products that are out there. So yeah, they're going to be really important. You're going to use some kind of tool to organize your work, to put it in a backlog, to kind of assign work to a sprint, identify who's responsible for what. And I think Jira is very strong. I've used it extensively myself, so I can speak from experience when I say that. And will it, certainly it's going to help you set up stories. Again, we're back to that term charter. Maybe a different way of thinking of it as a sprint goal. Yes, absolutely, is going to help you with that. So yes, I think you're 100% going to be using something. Some organizations use Jira, some use ADO, some use anything else. So it's hard to say which is going to be the best for that organization.
All right. Okay, I think okay, I did say a couple more, but another couple more here. Someone asked me, yeah, this question here. Okay, which role really is suitable to someone who is a business analyst? Should they do Scrum Master, product management, or a product owner? What role would fit them the best?
Yeah, if you're currently a business analyst, you're probably going to find it a very easy transition into a product owner role because you're
Hmm.
already working, gathering requirements, connecting with stakeholders and customers, uh, thinking about how do we structure requirements in a way that they can be delivered by teams. So yeah, I think all that is sort of a very natural path. A lot of times BAs also possess a fair amount of project management related skills. They're often thinking in terms of schedules and process flows. I got to gather requirements so teams can do development, then I can perform my testing. So you might also find being a scrum master is something that's pretty satisfying.
Got it. All right. And let's say someone is certified but haven't really renewed their certification. Do they have to take the course again or just the exam?
Well, my guidance there would be to reach out to the accreditation organization,
Hmm.
check with them, see what options are available to you. So it's not uncommon. So just connect with them. It might depend upon when did your certification expire. They might have some other paths available to you if you've taken it once before. So yeah, just my guidance would be connect with them.
Right. Got it. Amit, we didn't really talk about the product owner role today. We just talked about the Scrum Master roles. But we did do a webinar, recently comparing the two roles. You can take a look at the YouTube channel to understand this. So how is Prince 2 Agile really different from Scrum Alliance certification?
Well, haven't looked too closely at what Prince 2 offers in this space, but what I can say is pretty confident they're a very credible organization too. It probably covers a lot of the same material. I'm sure you do a very thorough job of it. Speaking quite frankly, at least here in the US and more broadly globally, Prince 2 just doesn't have the same level of recognition that the CSM through the Agile Alliance and the PSM through scrum.org would have. So that doesn't mean you wouldn't learn a lot of really powerful, good things through the Prince 2 certification, Agile certification. But if you had a choice, my guidance would be I'd probably emphasize the CSM or even the
Yeah.
scaled Scrum Master certification over Prince.
Understood. Great. Thanks so much for your time, Brian. I know you have to go.
Yes, I
So we
know.
did wrap the session up in an hour. Quick closing thoughts for people here and before you go.
Oh yeah, I'm excited to hear that there was so much interest. I'm looking at a person saying, "Hey, my PMP is up for renewal. Can I use this webinar?" Yes, you can. Just go into the education registration segment of the PMI website. So yeah, so folks, the fact that you're here in a session like this, you're clearly interested in building and extending your career, developing your skills. I think that's great. The thing I would encourage all of you is commit to a path, make a decision, follow that, hold yourself true to it, because it starts with you, and you're all demonstrating you're interested and you're all capable. Just make that next move, and you're going to get so much from it. It's honestly one of the best, funnest courses you're probably going to take professionally. So really encourage you to kind of move forward with that.
Great. Thanks. Thanks so much, Brian. I know you have to go, but I just have a few more things before we wrap up the session. So, thank you, Brian.
Awesome.
Bye.
All
See
right.
you again. And
Thanks, everyone. Good to see you again, Aparna.
yeah, right.
Okay, bye.
Right. So we've got a couple of more questions. Okay. I'm not sure if I'm the right person to answer this. Is PMP Is it wise to have Scrum Master certification? I think the answer that Brian would give here is to see if it aligns with your career goals. And at this moment, we're taking enrollments for the CSM certification cohort that's coming up. So the next cohort starts the upcoming weekend, which is the 1st and 2nd of Feb. We also have cohorts in the weekdays and the weekends. When you head to the course page, you can check all schedules and find whichever cohort seems the most suitable to you. Now, if you've given a yes on the poll that I've just launched, you will expect a call from our learning advisor. And remember, we also have a discount that's going on. So this 27% off is valid just for a short period of time. So if you've given a yes and a learning advisor reaches out to you, remember that they're going to hand over this discount to you with a limited period offer, because we have only limited seats in a cohort. Yeah. So do check out the course page, and also make sure, if you really want to enroll right away, you can use this coupon code, which is NY10, and it expires really, really soon. This is if you want to enroll right now. Okay, but let's say you want to take a look at the course, talk to the learning advisor before you enroll. You can, click on yes through the poll. Now, Naresh, we won't be able to share the PPT, but you will receive the recording of the session. Yeah, and for that, let me launch another quick poll asking your name. Okay, but before I do that, I would like you to rate the session. Let us know what you felt, what you would like us to do better. Okay, and also let us know maybe what you would like to see next. Some of you had questions about a certain role, product owner or the product manager role. So you could let us know if you would want more webinars with Brian on that, and we'll take your request and probably organize these events in the upcoming months. Yeah. Quickly give us the rating, and after this, I'll collect your name for the certificate, right? So make sure you are there in the session for the next 5-10 minutes, because we're going to be collecting names for certificate. And people on YouTube, was glad hosting you, and it's great that you were able to take time out for this session. If you are interested, people on YouTube, make sure you click on the link in the video description and check the description, check the course out, and reach out to a learning advisor. Yeah. Financial aid for this course, I'm not sure, whoever has posted that question. There is a training platform for free. It's called Skill Up by Simplylearn, but the CSM certification is obviously a paid training. If you would like to learn about other domains, or let's say about Scrum or Agile frameworks, you can check these courses out on the Skill Up platform. That's our free platform. Yeah. How much does it cost? So I'm not sure really, because the course fee includes the test fee as well. And it also includes a free exam retake fee. Yeah. So if you have this question, you could check out Scrum Alliance, the website, the organization that provides you this certification, CSM, or scrum.org or Scale Agile website. So that might give you better clarity on how much you would have to pay for the test. Okay. Now I'm just closing this poll on the ratings in exactly 5 to 10 seconds. So if you've got anything to say, is the course including the yes, it is including the exam fee. Now, someone had the question about the exam fee, so I think that answers the question. The exam fee is $100, but yeah, so what you see on the website is inclusive of the exam fee. Yeah. Okay, amazing. Glad that all of you could let us know what you felt about the session. Let me also collect your names for giving you guys the certificate. So I've launched another poll on Zoom for making sure you receive these certificates. How do you contact? So I'm not the right person to contact for understanding these about these courses, what you can do, Naresh, is you could head to the course page. I've given you the link on the chat. Please make sure that you reach out to a learning advisor through the bot there. Here you go. I'm just going to be dropping that link once again. Yes. So if you're based out of US, someone would contact you right away. But if you're based out of India and other regions, someone will contact you tomorrow. Yeah. Just make sure you drop a message on the bot, on the chat bot, or you could also click on enroll now. And if you just drop in your details, you might be contacted by a learning advisor. Okay. And about half of you have already given your names for the certificate. I request the rest of the half as well. Okay. And I know you loved today's webinar, and I know you kind of enjoyed the session, learned a lot from the session, understood, or maybe just got an idea of what you can do next, right? So in case you are really interested in, joining an upcoming webinar on PMP, so we've got a webinar on the 5th of Feb, and this particular webinar is going to give you an action plan on how you can not finish exactly, how you can prepare for your PMP in 90 days. Now, I'm going to be sending the link to that webinar as well. And because I'm sending a lot of links on the chat, I'm just going to close down the chat for a while so that you don't miss these links. So one link has the course page that directs you to the CSM certification course. Another link that helps you register for the PMP webinar. Okay, so in case you are interested to, and again, we'll have Bryan taking you through the session once again. So if you are really interested to join the session on the 5th of Feb, you can join and just get an idea of what you can do in 90 days to prepare for the PMP exam. Yeah. Yes. So I'm just going to wait for a while until you guys give in your names. Please avoid giving your names on the chat because we won't be able to collect your names there. Make sure you enter it on the poll only. There are just about 10 of you left, actually. So you guys can just enter your names. Whoever's not entered, please do that. You will receive your certificates tomorrow. In the next 24 hours, you will receive an email along with the link to download the recording or watch the recording along with downloadable certificate. You can share this on your social network and tag Bryan as well, and share your learnings in the session. Okay, so I'll just close the session in exactly 2 minutes. So just make sure. And I've also dropped the link to the PMP certificate in case you have your friends who want to register for session, who might find the session useful, share it with them as well. Yeah. Great. Okay, just about 5 of you here who have to fill in your names for the certificate. So I'll just wait. Yes, Salman, if you have filled in your name on the certificate poll, you will receive a recording. And we've also streamed this live on YouTube. So Sean, please make sure you fill in your name on the poll, not on the Q&A box, because we won't be able to record your messages. Yes. So in case you're wondering where you can watch this session and how do you get the recording, remember we've streamed this live on YouTube. So let me share the link with you guys in case you want to watch it right away. And also remember to register for the PMP webinar in case you still haven't. Yes. Okay, just about 4 of you left. I don't want you guys to miss out on the certificate because we receive a lot of emails after the webinar is done. I don't want you guys to miss out on it because, you guys took the time out. Yeah. Okay, amazing. Great. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining in. It was amazing hosting you, and I hope you found the session useful. I'll see you guys in uh, more such sessions later. Thank you so much again. Bye-bye. Have a great day.